was going through my albums at home, and I was looking for a specific album, and I started finding gems that I forgot I had. I found I had about a dozen soundtrack albums that somehow I collected over the years. Some are pretty good, some aren't. And soundtracks, of course, have really been around probably since the late 50s, early 60s, when we really got serious, using a mixture of made-for-movie music mixed in with already popular music to try to tie in with the movie theme. And of course, some of the older, American Graffiti, things like that. Good Morning Vietnam. Great movies, great soundtracks, really tie in with the movie. Maybe a little bit more recently, some of the Broadway shows like Hamilton, A Star is Born, some of those soundtracks really tie it in. But soundtracks go back quite a ways. One of my oldest soundtracks that I have, a great album from The Graduate in the late 1960s, of course, Anne Bancroft and Dustin Hoffman, and the music basically written by Paul Simon, a fantastic soundtrack, and a quite eclectic collection that I have here. Car Wash, which was a soundtrack from the 70s, a lot of funk and R&B from that time, a little bit of disco mixed in. Pretty good movie, pretty good soundtrack. One of the funny movies that didn't quite make it, Gene Wilder and the World's Greatest Lover. Another great soundtrack, but again, not really a very popular movie at the time. A very popular movie, however, from the early 70s was Harper Valley PTA. This one actually happens to still be in the plastic here, but Jeannie C. Riley brought it home along with Barbara Eden playing the major role in that particular movie. But I've got soundtracks I found. Bette Midler and the Rose, very popular hit songs, hit movie. One of the popular TV shows of the 80s was Miami Vice. And Don Johnson himself was a recording artist at the time, and they even put out their own soundtrack for Miami Vice. And some pretty popular movies in the 1980s I found that I had, like Beetlejuice. They had their own soundtrack. Dan Aykroyd was a hot actor, and they used him as much as they could when they remade the Dragnet series and came out with their own soundtrack. Most everybody knows about the Ghostbusters series. Again, Dan Aykroyd and a cast of others, with probably the only one song on here, Ghostbusters, which really made any noise on the music charts. Not so well known, the Heartbreak Hotel soundtrack. Corey Haim, remember him? We've got a soundtrack here from the movie License to Drive. Major League was also a very popular movie in the 80s, and of course, Wild Thing, a remake of Wild Thing, probably set the tone for that one here. And then finally, the movie, the album I was actually looking for when I found all these other soundtracks, and the movie wasn't that good, and the soundtrack isn't all that good either, but I still listen to it. Remember Howard the Duck? No, not many people do, but I have the album. You know, I'm not really a collector, but somehow I ended up with about a dozen of these soundtracks. And again, it's fun to look back. I don't buy a lot of albums anymore. I went from albums to cassettes to CDs. Now everything's basically online, but I still have a turntable. And once in a while, I'll pull out the vinyl and listen to one of the soundtracks from the days gone by. So I just thought I'd share a little bit here on this month's Thief River Falls Radio Newsletter.